Today on Sundays with Low Legacy, we sit down with one of DMV's rising models, Rese, to discuss life-changing events.
I was in college. I was sexually assaulted by a friend.
Body image.
When you're smaller and you're like slower to develop, you're like, well, I'm not as attractive because I don't look like I'm smaller.
And so much more. Sundays with Low Legacy starts now. Cheers to this open space where you're invited to be exactly who you are. Cheers to your soul, because there is never, ever, ever going to be anybody else like you, and that's your superpower. Happy Sundays.
Hello, beautiful souls. Happy Sundays. How you doing today, Rese?
I'm well. It's a beautiful day.
It is.
It's so nice out.
It is. I really wish like every day could just
be like
this.
Yeah, the nice breeze is flowing. You know, the trees, everything. It's just a nice day.
It's just a vibe.
Yes.
So before we get into our sun vibes and our wisdom and our stories, did you want to give a little intro? You know, any fun facts, any weird things that we should know about you?
Well, anyone who already knows me knows I'm a little weird. It's more so something you gotta see. You'd be like, wow, that's Rese right there. But you know, I'm just Rese.
Okay, so just to give you guys a backstory, I spoke with Rese it was about a year ago.
Yeah.
She told me about some of the things that she experienced, but she also told me what she learned from them and how she was able to grow. So do you want to get into your stories and let them know, you know, some of the things that you've experienced?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So it's crazy because we did have this conversation a year ago, and so much can change over a year.
Definitely.
Like, so much has changed from like, I remember that day so well. It's
Me
so
too.
Crazy. I remember I was at work. It was a rainy day. I couldn't even remember what I had on that day too. So that's so crazy.
And her edges was laid.
Always laid. Okay, but I say back then I was really in a transitional state. I was getting ready to move out. I had just overcame a lot of depression and sadness and doubt within myself. Like we discussed before, when I was in college, I was sexually assaulted by a friend. He was not a friend. I was blacked out, completely drunk. I can't even remember anything that happened. Like, I remember being with other friends who were like telling me to keep drinking because the guy I was with at the time, you know, we were going through a lot of trust issues, and the guy who actually assaulted me, you know, he was the one that told me that the guy I was with was, you know, not being honest with me, was messing with somebody else.
Wow.
And so like we had a party in my apartment, and you know, my ex had showed up, and you know, you're already drinking, your emotions are on 10, and I just went off on him. And then he leaves, and then, you know, these other friends were telling me like, oh, forget him, you know, have a good time, drink. I can tell you, it was like, I know I had like, what's that drink called, 99 apples?
Oh, I haven't heard that.
Oh, it's like, it's strong. Like, it's a very strong drink. Hennessy, tequila.
Oh. Anytime it's tequila and Hennessy by themselves,
yes,
you already know.
So, you know, I'm drinking all of this, and I swear, everything just seems like a haze and a blur. And, you know, next thing I remember, I was in my room, and the crazy thing about it is my room in Arden's, anyone who goes to UMS knows where Arden's is, but my door was hard to lock. You can't really lock it. You have to put a lot of force into it to lock it. So I never locked my door. Any of my roommates knew I never locked my door. Like, people who come to visit, they'll come to my room first because they know she's always there. Like, hey, how you doing or whatever. This particular night, my door was locked, which was very off.
Eerie. Right.
And so all I remember is, to be honest, when I close my eyes, all I can remember is seeing a white shirt. hand going up my dress and touching me, and then I hear like a belt buckle.
Oh God.
And I'm getting up, and like, you know, when you're like just waking up, you're not fully
right. You in like a trance.
Right. You can't really get up, but something was telling me like, hit this person, like whoever this is, and that was the only thing I could do. I hit them, and then I screamed, and next thing I know, my roommates come out of their rooms because it was late. Everyone was like knocked out, and my roommates come out, and they're trying to open this door, and it's locked. Mind you, I never locked my door. And so then, you know, he was like, I remember hearing his voice saying, chill, chill, chill. And I was like, what? And so then finally he's struggling to open the door because, like I said, this door is a difficult door to unlock and open. And then he runs out. And my roommates are trying to like calm me down. And I'm like, and after that, it just all seemed like a haze. And even the next day, like, I remember one of my roommates, it was her birthday that night. And she had told me that everything that happened that night was my fault.
Oh, wow.
Right. So, the thing is, like, you know, when you're drunk, your accountability is down here.
Definitely.
So, like, people are like, you don't remember, you know, how can we believe you? So it was really like, it got to the point where I'm over here like, well, did that happen? Like, I'm questioning myself at this point. And I'm like, I know what I saw and I know what I felt, but why am I doubting myself here? And this happened literally the weekend before my midterms.
Oh, God.
I had a midterm that Monday, and I couldn't even finish it. I walked out of class, and I was like, yo, this is insane. Like, this is my senior year. I can't fail right now. I cannot come back here. Like, this isn't happening. So, you know, it was definitely a battle because, you know, he was trying to save himself. So word had got out that, you know, he had did something. And so I remember him blowing up my phone saying, why are you lying? And, you know, just saying all this stuff. And, like, again, one of my roommates, the one who told me it was my fault, she told me I needed to apologize to him.
Oh, no. You know what? Unfortunately, that's kind of some of the similar things that we're experiencing right now, with everybody coming out to say that, you know, this happened and that happened. And then you have people who like that, who say it's your fault, or you need to apologize to to the person that abused you. Right. And that's
and, you know, if you're not in a good state of mind, you're like, oh, they're right. I should apologize. Unfortunately, I did apologize.
Because you're like confused. You're trying to figure out how you feel about the situation.
Extremely confused, extremely hurt. I felt lower than dirt. I don't know if there's anything lower than that, but I felt so low about myself, so hurt. And it was just like nobody understood. You know, everyone thought that, oh, she'll be alright. You know, another one of my roommates, they were like, you know, you're not being yourself. Like, what's going on? Like, you know, talk to us. And I was like, I can't talk to y'all.
Right.
Y'all don't believe me. I had this traumatic experience, and you're pinning this all on me. It took me an additional year to tell my dad. So that was also hard, and he was pissed. He was so mad because I didn't come to him at first. But I had to explain to him, like, you know, I'm full of all this doubt and all this hurt. Like, I couldn't come to you. And, you know, I was his youngest at the time. And, you know, even telling him, it brought me to tears because he was just like, not my Rese, like, not my girl. So it was just like, it was a lot of emotion. It was even more. Right, and he wanted me to go to the police. And this is another thing that I experienced, why people don't come out about these things. The police, I'm talking the cops, the protect and serve, they were like, how do we know you're not making this up? What took you so long to come forth with this? Why are you just now saying something? You know, how do we know you're just not some mad ex trying to get him in trouble, trying to ruin this man's life? I I was just like, are you serious right now? Like, I actually cussed them out. And I was
Good.
like, how dare you? I was like, God forbid this happens to your child, and they finally come forth and tell you, is this what you're going to say to them as well? And through all that, you know, I couldn't even proceed with pressing charges against this guy. And, you know, it really sucks because now, unfortunately, I have to live with the fact that he could possibly do this again. And that's the only thing that really haunts me now. Like, throughout the years, it was very hard. Like, it will be around that time would come again. Like, I remember it was October 13th, 2015. And around that time, every year, I promise you, like, I'll have trouble sleeping. It's like something's going on, and I'll look at my calendar, I'm like, this was the night. It was the night that this happened. So it's something that really stays with you. But what I've learned is, like, I can't allow this man to have this much control over my life or me. Like, that's not going to happen. And it took a lot. I had to finally come face to face with this and, you know, take it on head on. Like, I had to try and just reclaim myself and not feel so much doubt with myself. Like, you know, it really hurt whenever you look into the mirror and you're like, I don't like what I see.
Right.
And, you know, I was like picking myself apart. Like, it was not okay. And I was like, I can't live like this. I can't do this. So it took a lot of, you know, building and actually I got a lot closer with my dad. I don't hold anything back from him anymore. I tell him everything, if anything's wrong. And especially now, another big thing was my trust in males.
Right.
So, like, I remember, oh gosh, like, I could not look a guy in the face. I would look at the ground. I would just keep it moving. You know, I'll admit, like, my heart would race a little bit. Like,
it's kind of like PTSD.
Right. So it was just like, I don't know, like, I can't be around this person. Whenever I would have friends introduce me to their guy friends, and it's like, I don't know them, so I kind of keep like an eye out, and, you know, I don't know this person, so I can't, it's not sitting right with me, and it'll take me a while to actually feel comfortable around them. But then it was like, why am I making myself smaller for these people?
Right.
I can't do that. So it took some time, but now I don't look away. I'll look you dead in your face. Like, I'm not gonna look away anymore. It definitely took a lot of, you know, meditation, a lot of self-reflection, you know, writing, getting back into my creativity. It took a lot of time. Mind you, this happened in 2015. It's 2019 now.
Right.
And I can say, just up to recently, I'm starting to feel, quote unquote, normal. But it took a lot of time. It took a lot of time. So even like we had this conversation a year ago, I still had some more growing to do. I wasn't at a place where I'm like, okay, I'm all better now. No. It took a lot more time to get to a point where I'm like, I can confidently say, I won't say I'm better now, but I'm a lot better than
you were.
Where I was.
So, you said that you were having issues to press charges, and that's something that you may never do is press charges. But do you have like a message? Because unfortunately, a lot of people, men and women, have experienced something like that. So, do you have like a message?
My biggest message is you are not alone. That was like the light for me to know that I wasn't alone. And as scary as it might be, you need to tell somebody, whether that be a close friend, you know, a relative, a professor, mentor, somebody. You need to tell somebody. You can't keep this bottled up. It will eat you up. It will eat you up and spit you out, and you'll fall apart. You need to tell somebody. But the biggest thing is, like, you're not alone. That was my biggest thing. I felt like I was alone. Like, I was in this box and no one else was there with me. I'm just here in this dark box and I'm falling in this hole.
Wow.
And I can't get out. That's exactly how it felt. So my message is, you're not alone.
And to speak up to at least somebody. So
Yes.
if say they feel like they're completely alone and they don't have anybody, would you say like writing would be sufficient to?
Writing it out. I have endless journals in my house right now where I've just, even in my phone, like I have notes that date way back and I just wrote it out because I can't keep it. The biggest thing is you can't keep it in here. Whether you have to release it out some way. I learned a practice where you write it down on a piece of paper, whatever's going on through your mind, whether this is negative thoughts, and get rid of it.
Right. I was about to say burn it, rip it
throw
up,
it away,
cross it out, shred it.
Get rid of it. And it's kind of symbolic. I'm getting rid of this negativity. I'm getting this
Shedding
out.
it off your energy.
Exactly. I'm not keeping this with me anymore. And you know, I had to do that a couple of times. Like I have notes that I've written. I wrote it. I read it once. Never saw it again.
And it doesn't come back to your mind. That's beautiful.
I've gotten rid of it. I'm not going to speak of this anymore. It's gone. Whether it's like a letter to my ex or like, you know, this negative thought.
Letters to your ex is a good
yes,
one.
where it's
That's
a negative thought. I write it out. I read it once out loud because I'm putting it out here. It's gone. We're not thinking about it anymore.
So what's one thing that you can say that you learned through the process? Because I feel like your situation is similar to a lot of things that people go through on a daily basis. Like the framework, we go through things and it puts us in a place where we're like forced to look in a mirror. Like we're forced to like dig deep into ourselves. So what's one thing that you found while you were in that dark place and you were like trying to survive? So you had to dig into yourself. So what's one thing that you found out about Rese?
Rese is beautiful.
Yes, girl.
Rese is beautiful. I tell myself this all the time. I've dealt with a lot of self-doubt since I was in high school. That was the first time I really hit rock bottom. And, you know, it had to do with a lot of just mean words, really.
So what is the root?
The root?
The root of the self-doubt. What is
the
that
root
coming
of the
from?
self-doubt? See, this is the thing that I like to do. I will be in my house and I go through a lot of self-reflection. I want to know, why am I feeling this way?
Same.
Why do I constantly pick on myself? And I had to dig deep. And I remember it started off even when I was like in elementary school, because, you know, I'm a thick girl. Like I'm a curvy girl. And I remember when I was just, I believe I was like in the 3rd or 4th grade. I remember my cousins, they're like, dang, Sharice, you got some big old thighs. And I'm like, I never paid attention
until y'all bring it
until you brought it to my attention. So I'm like looking like, oh, my thighs are bigger than hers. And then, you know, I go, and this is when I was in Oklahoma. I come back here and I'm going to school and I'm looking at everyone else around me. I was like, wow, like I am bigger than her. And, you know, then I start picking out other things, like her hair is longer than mine. And I'm still just picking. I remember my dad had this girlfriend. Oh my gosh. God bless her. Anyways, I'm going to just put that out there. God bless her.
God bless her dad's ex-girlfriend.
She was so mean. Especially to my sister, my older sister. She would compare us to each other.
Oh, that's...
She would be like, why is Shaniqua bigger, Sharice this size? Like, we would go school shopping, and this woman over here picking out pants for me that's like a 13, 14 size, and they hanging off of me. I'm like, what makes you think I'm this big? But it's because when you're young, you're like a sponge. You're absorbing everything. So when you're looking at yourself, you're like, am I really a 13, 14, you know, 15, 16, whatever? And, you know, I believe that's where it really began, with the self-doubt and picking on myself and just not being happy with who I was. And it took a lot of time. In high school, it happened again. You know, I'm like comparing myself to my friends. I'm just like, why don't I look like that?
You know what's so interesting? It's like, it's two parts of the scale, but the two people on the opposite ends of the scale are experiencing the same thing. Because for me, when I was in high school and stuff, and even up until recently, it was like, you know, in the media, it's a whole bunch of thick girls. Everybody's thick. And so when you're smaller and you're like slower to develop, you're like, well, I'm not as attractive because I don't look like I'm smaller. Yeah. I'm smaller than everybody else, and she has bigger boobs and she has thighs, and I'm still, you know. Right. So it's like everybody's comparing themselves to each other, when in actuality, it's just, you know,
it's the same. We're all going through the same thing.
We're all going through the same thing, and it's kind of, it makes sense, but it's mindless at the same time. Right. So that's why, you know, it's really beautiful that you went through your process of self-love, and it's a continuous process, and it's just,
and over time, you know, it's like I've fallen in love with motivating others. So, you know, at first I used to be very to myself. Like, I'm not how I used to be. So to find so many people that are like, you know, it really warms my heart when people tell me like, oh my gosh, you've helped me with X, Y, Z, and you've helped motivate me with this, you've helped me feel better. I'm like, really? Like, I was like,
it's like your purpose, like you're walking into your purpose.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I feel like this is what I was meant to do. You know, I feel like God never puts you through anything that he knows that you can't handle.
Right.
No matter what the battle is. Even though I've had moments where I've questioned, like, why am I going through this? Why am I hurting like this? But that's normal.
Right.
But as long as you come out of it and you're like, okay, I see where this is taking me, and now I'm going to move forward. You have to keep pushing forward no matter what. Don't look back, because if you're looking back, you're slowing down.
You can be like, oh, wait, I need to go back to my comfort zone. So we have went through a lot of beautiful stories and wisdom. Before we go, do you want to leave them with, if they didn't take anything from this video, what's one thing, what's the sun vibe that you want to provide for our beautiful souls that are watching?
Put yourself first.
I love that.
Put yourself first. I feel like that was definitely a big battle of mine. A lot of times whenever people say like, I'm doing for me, it's looked to be as selfish.
Right.
You're being too cocky. No, I'm doing for me.
Because if I don't fill up my cup, it's not going to overflow, and I can't provide anything for you.
I'm going to do for myself first. And you know, y'all can come on after, but I need to do for me first in all ways.
So thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really, really appreciate it. Make sure you tune in for the next episode of Sundays with Low Legacy, where we encourage individuals to seek, express, and accept their inner truth one episode at a time. Thank you guys.
Hey beautiful souls. Want to catch bloopers, behind the scenes footage, and more episodes? Follow us so you don't miss a sun vibe.